The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello and welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. We have a unique show today. As you see, CJ is in a little box waving at you. He is in the Spindle City bunker. That's a special bunker that we've designed. It's drone-proof, bulletproof, just in the event that we're attacked. I drew the short straw and I have to be at the desk today. So we have a lot to talk about, I guess, and because we have what's going on in the city with the mayor as far as the city council mayor issue, and we also have to deal with the recall. The recall will be in the news again very shortly. We have word that the signatures will be certified by Friday. We are looking at that as a target date, and as today is Wednesday, we only have a few more days, and then the fun begins. We're going to see what kind of court challenges the mayor throws in front of the recallers, and he has already said that he is paying for the lawyer to fight the recallers out of his campaign funds, and the decision of whether he's going to use it for his criminal defense, the jury is still out. We have a lot. So CJ, from the bunker, let's weigh in on this.
Hidden a million miles away. The first thing is I received a press release. See, even in the bunker we get these things. For immediate release, it comes from the Veterans Agent, Director of Veteran Services, Ray Haig. And it says that there will be an observance of the POW MIA Recognition Day to honor and remember all veterans who are prisoners of war and missing in action. The ceremony will take place at 10 a.m. on Friday, September 19th, in the lobby of the Fall River Government Center. All are welcome to join us as we remember those who have served and to honor those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. Raymond E. Haig, Director of Veteran Services. It's nice to see that city business is still going on as prescribed. But back to the whole recall process. I was in contact with Liz Camara yesterday, and I asked her what is the status of the signatures and the certification of them. And she said to me that it will have them done by Friday. Now, what time that is on Friday, we still don't know. But we're looking forward to seeing what time and how many are certified and how many have not been certified. As we know already, that once that certification process has been completed, the mayor has said that he will challenge all the signatures that are certified, and as such, we are looking at a fight ahead of us probably. A lot of people are saying out there though, Chip, that let the process continue on the way it is. If the signatures are certified, they're certified, and move forward from there. If the signatures are not certified, then let it move forward from that point as well. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work. What do you think? Nothing has gone the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, well, obviously we have said numerous times that the recall process is a statutory process, and when you get the signatures and they're certified, we're supposed to have a recall election. It distresses me as someone who was involved in it to see that the mayor wants to use basically, legal tactics to try to delay the process. The fact is that, okay, you say you've been a good mayor, we say we don't think you've been such a good mayor. We've got the signatures, so let's let the people decide. I think that's the best way to handle it. I think that's the way that will help get this city back to where people are working together again rather than being divisive. because this issue obviously is going to be divisive. There are people on both sides of the issue. So, you know, I don't think that delaying the process, dragging it out, further separating people on whether we should be fighting over the signatures, and the fact is the law is pretty clear. If the signature is even semi-legible and the address is there, it's supposed to be counted. That's the way the law reads. So I don't understand, you know, I don't understand the necessity to delay it. The fact is, it's a referendum on the mayor. I have a letter that's going into the Herald News today that basically says something to that effect, and also deals with an article that was written about the recallers, which I will editorialize a little bit today. Mark Monroe Dion basically said that the recall is being led by a bunch of malcontents and miscreants, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And while he has the right to that opinion, and I think that that opinion is way off base, he called them you know, criminals and people who are failed civil servants and people who ran for office and weren't elected. So he basically characterized everybody as having, you know, being less than reputable. Well, the fact is, the people who sign a petition come from all walks of life. The group is made up of people from all walks of life. There are disagreements within the group. And the fact is that if you run for political office and don't get elected, I don't think you lose your right to continue being involved in the political process. As a matter of fact, I think you should be congratulated for having enough courage to put your name on a ballot and come forward, win, lose, or draw. At least you tried to have an effect on government, as the recallers do. So,
Seems like I resemble that remark.
yeah, I took exception to that, and I wrote the letter, and you're all welcome to read the letter to the editor if they print it, which I believe they will, in which I think I was pretty clear. But, you know, with that being said, since we've opened the door on this recall, let me make something perfectly clear. CJ and I have been involved with this recall at a very at a very intense level, obviously. We were totally committed, but that doesn't mean we agree with everything that's coming from either side, including the recall side. You know, the Herald News wrote that, you know, that both sides have gone beyond ugly with some of the things. Well, I want to make it clear that we represent just one piece of that puzzle, and that piece is Citizens Alliance for Accountability in Government. We are solely involved with the mayor's record as the mayor. We don't condone and we don't approve of any type of personal attacks, any deviation with personal issues with the mayor about, you know, with individuals that want him recalled and also have a personal issue. We don't believe in mix and match. The recall is simply a referendum on the mayor's performance as mayor. And one of the problems with things like this is everybody begins to try to shift attention from the mayor's record to personal issues, to innuendos, to threats, to whatever it is. But the fact is, I'm saying on camera and making it clear, and CJ can, when I'm done, CJ can give his piece. I am looking at what's happening with the mayor on a criminal level. But in my eyes, that has no correlation or relation to the recall. That is a completely separate issue. And it will run its course through the legal system. The recall and the recall petition that I signed stipulated reasons why he was being recalled. And it wasn't because the way he combed his hair, and it wasn't because you know, he had a problem with one of the recalls. It was for specific reasons about his performance as mayor. And I'm telling all the viewers, and I've said this to the people in the recall, but apparently we're going to have to make this clear again. I don't condone, I don't support, I don't approve of anything that takes away from the message about the mayor's performance. And with that, I'll turn it over to CJ for him to weigh in on his position.
Oh boy, thanks a lot, Chip. You took the wind right out of my sails. You know, it is a difficult situation. I mean, we've had some people who were part of the recall, you know, they've gone out and, you know, they've been called out and people call them leaders and, you know, and the recall in and of itself is a coalition of many groups, many different people, veterans, business people, homemakers, students, people who work. And I think that Mark Dion column really painted the recall people and the people involved in the whole process as, you know, deviants, you know, people that really shouldn't even be given any credibility. And I thought it very interesting because you and I know Jeff Gregory very well, and Jeff Gregory sent a letter in to the Herald News about, you know, him being a disgruntled civil servant or an ineffective one, whatever the case may be. I only briefly read his letter, but you know, Mark's doing his job. I don't personalize it. Nobody can personalize it, and on both sides of the fence, people have personalized this. It's like if you say the mayor is financially inept, he is, you know, he has performed malfeasance even. The people who support him turn around and they say, you're wrong, you're no good, blah, blah, blah. They personalize it. It's like it's a personal attack on them. Like I went out and, you know, strangled their children or, you know, kicked their dog or something. I mean, it's getting to be crazy. And I think what's happening right now, because the elections commissioner has been dragging this whole process out for whatever reason, and I'm not saying that she's doing this deliberately, but it seems that the process is taking a little longer than it should. I think people are getting antsy. They're getting very nervous. They don't know what's going to happen. They want information. You and I know this. We get calls from the press every day. You know, they're asking us to appear, to speak on the issue, what's going on, what's going to happen. And it gets to be very confusing as to what happens because people get so many different stories, they're not exactly sure what do they do. So it makes it extremely difficult. And then when you have people who are very much pro-recall, but they're not really part of the, I don't want to call it the inner circle or the army or whatever, but they're kind of like on the outside and they don't want to attach their name to it, but they want to do everything. That makes it more difficult for people because then you get a ton of other opinions and messages that come out. And, you know, the message and the personality we need to focus on is Mayor Flanagan's. That's the personality we need to deal with. We don't need to deal with, you know, John Smith or Ann O'Neill Souza or, you know, Elizabeth Souza or anyone else. We need to focus on the mayor and what the mayor has done. I think that's more important than anything else at this point.
You're right, CJ, and with that, as I said, I know Mark Monroe Dion, and I read his columns, and I agree with some and disagree with others. My major complaint with that, and one of the points I made in the letter was that I felt that column basically did exactly what the Herald News condemned both sides for doing. They muddied the water by dealing with personalities. You know, I mean, he said this, you know, yeah, there may be disgruntled civil service employees, but there may be disgruntled employees that support the mayor, too. There are people who ran for office and didn't get elected that support the mayor. There are some who ran for office and did get elected who support the mayor. It's irrelevant. The fact is, what's relevant is, why is the mayor being recalled? We have reasons that we feel he should be recalled, and if somebody disagrees, they will have to say, well, we don't agree with the way you say that he has not run the city incorrectly financially. I don't really believe that you know, the deficits are, you know, they can believe his rhetoric that says, you know, it was caused by all the SAFER grant and the other issues, which he says, you know, it's not my making. Well, we didn't contend that. We said that the lack of preparation for that showed fiduciary irresponsibility. We all knew that these things were coming and we failed to prepare. So obviously it's in the eyes of the individual. But when we begin on both sides to do things that are completely divorced from the issue, we're not going to get an actual sense. We're going to have people that say, I'm not going to go even bother voting because both sides have aggravated me, and that's just wrong. You know, we had a person that was involved in it, basically posted a video with pictures of the mayors, and all the mayors in the city of Fall River, and made disparaging remarks. Now, it's his right as an American to do things like that. But as someone who's involved in a recall, I don't agree with that, because the fact is, I worked with numerous mayors, and I had my battles with them, and my battles were on issues, whether they were contracts or whatever, and we settled those things ultimately. And many of those men, and most of those men, I respect. I had differences of opinions, and I fight hard for my position on any issue. But we dealt with the issues. And a lot of those men that were disparaged were men of integrity, were men of good character, were men who did what they thought was right, as I did what I thought was right. And to condemn everybody who holds an office because you're upset with the man, to me, is counterproductive. And that's coming from our side. And that's wrong. And it shouldn't be done. And Mark Monroe shouldn't do it. The Herald News is right. It shouldn't be done by either side. Unfortunately, it is. So I'm going to tell the people out there who are watching this, forget about all the BS. Let's get back to the core issue. Look at what is going to be, when this recall becomes a reality, we will be putting forth what we consider the proof of the mayor's inability to be effective as mayor. It's not going to be about whether he carries a gun, how he cuts his hair, how big his waistline is at this point in time. Those things have absolutely nothing to do with the issue. The issue is simply, should this man be the chief executive officer of the city based on his performance as mayor? Nothing else. And I hold no malice personally to the mayor. I disagree with the way he's running the city. I don't believe he should be in that position. Anything else besides that, I reserve for personal opinion. CJ?
You know what they say about opinions, Chip, so I won't even go into it. But just to show you the financial ineptness, or if that's even a word, of the administration, they knew prior to getting this budget approved, as did the 8 city councilors who approved it. 7 city councilors approved it. 2 of them did not. 1 was absent. That there was a $3-point-some-odd million deficit in the school department budget for fiscal year 2014. And that's coming to bite us next month. And the city has made it very clear. They have spent the entire rainy day fund to make this budget work. There's no extra money anywhere. So if you're the chief executive officer of a company and you've spent your entire savings account for any financial catastrophe that may happen, yet you still come forward and ask for $55 million in bonding, what does that say to you? I mean, that's my question. I mean, do you have any argument for me, Chip? I'm looking at you here going, you got any argument?
No, obviously, as I said, people have opinions. We know that he was saying that he gave 7 reasons why the city was in a deficit. Every one of those reasons was foreseeable. Now, there may be some people, and I disagree with their position, that, oh, well, what are you going to do? Well, our congressional delegation basically said that we weren't prepared. They warned him when they gave him the check for the first half of the SAFER grant, that I believe Senator Kerry told him, this is not permanent. This is just a stopgap, so prepare for when it's gone. And we didn't. Is that good management? No. And I don't know how we can justify it, but that's, as I said, that's our opinion. You know, the 6 Ps, you know, poor planning promotes piss poor performance. So we've got poor planning, and look at what we've got. We've got a city that's got huge deficits, that we've bonded ourselves into the, Christ, probably 5 or 6 more centuries before we pay our bonds off. I mean, it's ridiculous. And if people think this is the way to run a railroad, well, we disagree, and this is the reason that we initiated this recall. And people will say, well, why didn't you wait till the following election? And we've said time and time again, I don't think we can afford this guy. The only way he knows how to raise money is to impose more financial burden on the taxpayers. And we are already well over $3 million in a deficit with the school department that's going to be due next month. Where's that money going to come from?
Plus,
we have a printing press in the bottom of City Hall. So, yeah. I mean, as we said, we're back actually on the issues again. So, CJ?
Yeah, plus, you know, the Argosy School just added, what, a couple of $100,000 on transportation costs that were not included in the school department budget. And the city has to pay that. So, I mean, how many more unseen expenses are we going to have to face? And, you know, I looked at the issue on Maplewood Park that they wanted to take that land, and they said, oh, well, you know what, we'll make the package a little smaller, and we'll take $175,000 from the sale of the schools, and we'll take another $100,000 from the CPA money. Well, number one, the CPA money isn't guaranteed, because maybe the people on the CPA committee are going to submit to the city council something else. So the mayor said, well, let's just bond for it and we'll take the land. We can't afford it. We just can't afford it. So again, they tabled that issue. The $55 million bonding, they tabled that issue, but it's going to come up again, and it's going to keep coming up. And of course, you've got people like your favorite city councilor in the whole world who says that we need all of these things. How can we honestly take this by the horns and say, we've got to do this? And the fact that the mayor is looking at criminal investigations, he's looking at a recall. OCPF made a comment to the Herald News that they are not going to comment on open criminal complaints or questions on whether or not the mayor can use his campaign finance money for defense or for defense of the recall. But that's where the money's going to come from. And Reddington doesn't work cheap. He's got like a $100,000 retainer fee that he wants up front. And the other attorneys out of Rhode Island are the same. They want huge chunks of money. Where did the mayor come up with all this money? That's my big question, okay? Because he can't get it from a friend. He has no property to mortgage. You know, did he win the Powerball and nobody told us? People have to ask these questions. Where's the money coming from? And you know my saying. I've lived by this for a long time. You want to find out what's happening? Follow the money. So let's follow it.
Well, I believe on the first show, that was the mantra that we said, follow the money, and we're still following the money. But as you said, you know, the issue here is that apparently he runs his campaign war chest and his own finances the way he runs the city. So we have to question these things, because even though they are related in a way, because obviously the way his own financial things are handled reflects on the city. The fact is, let's go back to the pay-as-you-throw issue, okay, which was the catalyst for all this. It was the straw that broke the camel's back. We're paying 3 times to get our trash picked up. First, we pay taxes to support DPW, Department of Community Maintenance will be politically correct with their new name. And there'll always be DPW to me, you know, because I know a lot of those guys, and they're great guys, and they do a great job out there. But the fact is, we're paying them. Then we've bonded for the barrels that we put the trash in. Now we're paying for the bags that we put in the barrels that we paid for to be picked up by the people whose salary we pay. 3 times. And now I have another question. This mayor is working in the best interest of all the citizens of Fall River. Why did the bags start in August? We're still getting host fees. Why are we paying to get rid of our trash now when the landfill is still open and we're receiving host fees? The host fees don't stop until October. Why have we been paying for 2 months already? Why didn't we use that 2 months to educate the public, transition into this program where everybody could understand it, we could say why we really needed it, and when we could be thorough? No, it was because we're broke, we've overspent, and we needed the money. And that's why they're collecting the money before they should, because the fact is, we didn't have pay-as-you-throw before because we had a landfill. Well, we've still got a landfill till October. Why are we doing
We wouldn't
this?
collect any money.
Because we're collecting money.
Exactly.
Because the pay-as-you-throw isn't a health issue, it's a money issue. It's a hidden tax.
And you know,
Go
the
ahead.
funny thing on that, Chip, the funny thing about it is you've heard Ken Pacheco and Kathy Ann Viveris turn around and say, oh, we have a 95% compliance rate, 95% compliance rate. I don't know where they're getting those figures from. I drive down Pleasant Street, I drive down Bedford Street, I drive up Orange Street, I see bags, black bags, white bags, on the street, not in the bins. They issue tickets for everybody, which, by the way, the tickets are $300 a piece. So again, it's all a money grab. It's all a money grab. You are going to do it, or we're going to just bankrupt you. And that's exactly what this administration's legacy is going to be. This is going to be the bankruptcy legacy. This is going to be the administration which turned on its constituents and said to Fall River, up yours, and that's it. And people just don't like that. People just don't like it, and they don't feel heard.
Yeah, well, we know how this, figures don't lie, but liars can figure, the compliance rate. But look, I was walking my dog down in a Little League field in my neighborhood, and there was a television in the middle of the Little League field. So people aren't dumping. I've seen bags all over the place. Yeah, somebody puts one purple bag in the container and throws 6 different colored bags all over the city. We saw what happened in Worcester. Let's be serious. Right after they said, pay-as-you-throw worked in Worcester, not a week later, there was an article on the front page of the Worcester newspaper showing the debris all over Worcester and what an absolute mess it's become because of pay-as-you-throw.
And people are saying that the city looks so much better from it, but I've actually seen the amount of trash increase. And, they came by my house and wrote me a $300 ticket for something somebody dumped on my sidewalk, and it was a bulky item. And I went to Ken Pacheco and I asked him, I said, you're giving me a $300 ticket for a bulky item, and it was put out the day before, trash pickup. That's when it's supposed to go out. He goes, well, did you have the tag on it? I said, I have a private hauler. He says, well, I don't know that. I said, what do you mean you don't know that? I had to call you how many times to pick up my bins? I was the one that spoke clearly about the fact that I have a private hauler, and I named the company. And he goes, well, that's just the way it is. I said, no, it's not just the way it is. I said, plus, it wasn't even mine. Somebody just dumped it there. Oh, well, if you would have called us, we would have picked it up for free. How am I supposed to know that? Well, you're supposed to call my office. There's no education. There's no nothing.
You're right. And we'll get into this again on maybe Friday's show, but we've got a few seconds left, so I want to recap something that's very important. Remember what the recall's about. It's about Mayor Flanagan, and has he run this city in your best interest as a taxpayer? Forget about the rhetoric from both sides. Forget about everything except what the recall petition says, that he hasn't done a good job as mayor. And that's why you should go and vote your conscience on the recall. And with that, I'll throw it over to CJ.
Now, Chip, I think that's it, and I'd like to thank everyone for watching. You have a great day, and we'll see you next time on Spindle City Straight Talk. Have a great day.